Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where last episode we moved over to Barrett Van Zeek's office, conversing with him about the attack that he fought off and the case we were about to meet each other as opposition in, with our defendant Albert Harebrayne, an old university friend of the prosecutor. We also witnessed the other figure photographed in the paper, who we learned to be his apprentice at Mel Strongheart's orders. Next, we move over to meet the defendant in prison, talking to him about events and agreeing to represent the scientist, as we now move to check out the scene of the supposed crime. To the experimentation stage we go. You haven't been to this place yet? Don't forget to take me when you go. It's because you want to see it yourself, don't you? I know what you're up to, Iris. This is what you were aiming at the whole time. What's that really highlighted in the corner there? More to the point, it really does stand out, that cog or whatever part of device. Looks like a crossbow, in fact. 22nd of October, the Great Exhibition Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower. The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I've felt myself swooning 3 times. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too. Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the looks of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. What's that? There's just people swearing. I can hear voices from up on the stage. It sounds like an argument. Right, I've had it with you this time, I'm warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh yeah? Go on, Inspector. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it. Wait, I know those voices. You've got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells will teach you some manners. Just try it. I dare you. If you want that bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yo, yoo-hoo! Gregsy, what are you doing up there? It's you! Here! You're here! Here you are! You here! Your ladyship! How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? Hey! I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable! I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once to pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be. Watch it, sunshine! Sorry. What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. So we're here to investigate. Dear me. That's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling? A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't ya? You can stand to carry a bit more copper around your pockets, Mr. Nano-Odo. What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is. You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob. This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket or diver born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, eh, Odo? Diver? Pickpocket? What's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips rammed down your throat and all, do ya? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assume you've been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Odo. Half a year's a long time. People can change. I'm an apprentice now. Learn to be a Scotland Yard detective. So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now. Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. The Inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. What's that supposed to mean? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright? Right, sir. This raises a lot of questions. But it's cool. Hey! Gina! What's up? It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, then she got embroiled in a murder. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realised I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Guinea. Well done. So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective? You got it. Good, did it? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Hey, talk about a sea change. And then there's Iris's old man to think about. Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? Said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him. Just a small promise then. Nothing serious. Oh, Guinea, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how come I had a go at the test for Scotland Yard. Lots of move letters there. Only trouble is I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem. Nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Gregson and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Guinea and made her a sort of apprentice. That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson. And brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So, the long and short of it is, if you've got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Oh, what, Bruno, what? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was the defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. Trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet here she is still. Come on, you're not still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper or whatever it's called. Cool, you don't have to worry, Odo. If I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. It's like I told you before, innit? The Reaper's kind of like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. I ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be a stretching a point. What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly, so I ain't worried, I'm totally fine. Gina, Inspector, I will call you Inspector till my face is blue. Cool, it was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Guinea? With your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Of keeping everything running smooth, I mean. The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's going to take some getting used to. So all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. I get this. I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Guinea. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You have no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No. You can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Oh, right. Well, it was a success in a way. It was. How can it have been? Successful experiment? I guess it got the body from point A to point B? Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the crystal tower over there. What? In the tower? You can see for yourself, can you? Up there above the scaffold. Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got into to start with. Really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there. So, you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. Bang. I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. I have a free bow off you before, so fair's fair. Yeah, so I didn't actually give that to you, did I? The sketch of the experiment has been entered into the court record. It's a diagram showing the relative positions of the crystal tower and Professor Harebrayne's machine that exploded. Let's have a look at this. For a second I thought it was drawn by her, but it's not. Gotta add the sound effects, right? Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. What it's worth, anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. Yes, naughty old Gregsy ran off after that without explaining himself. Oh, right, that. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call them again? The forensic investigation team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, innit? So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. I thought I could have had a gander on the quiet though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him give me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? Stop bleeding fair! I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. Say something to him, Odo. Go on, see if you can get through to him. He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine that exploded is. We can try, can't we, Bruno? Grexy will listen to us. It's whenever she cocks a gun, whenever she says stuff like that, it's a bit mental, isn't it? Gina, I love your career change. What a move. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly, it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower. Apparently, everyone's taking to the skies now to look down the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Londoners must be very patient people. The old "we love to queue" adage. Ah, it looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here. Dropped or hid. What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this, just in case. A mysterious contraption has been entered into the court record. A very curious device found behind a tree under the experimentation stage at the exhibition grounds. Almost as if it had been hidden there deliberately, which we just removed from being investigated. You know, is. I mean, it definitely looks like something. Like, incredibly like something. I can't quite put my finger on it. I might have already said its name. There's nothing to examine on it. Oh, no, there is. Ah, there's some sort of lever here. There we go. What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. Are you going to call it a bow gun? I think it probably is used for the same thing, too. Crossbow. Turns out it's a folding crossbow. This groove here must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right. It's a sort of bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches his ear with a bowstring 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I'd had one of these, maybe I could have beaten Kazuma in judo archery training. I quite enjoy it, archery. I've actually got to play with some proper composite bows and stuff. And normal bows. And fire them at targets. And that was... within not too much of time, I was hitting, like, targets from range. I was quite pleased with myself. It's quite fun to fire a bow and arrow. It really is. It's much more fun than firing a gun. I fired, like, a shotgun at a clay pigeon one time. And it's, like, just seems really dull. Less skill, seemingly. Let's say you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. You must be able to fire arrows with a huge amount of force using this device then. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate and powerful than a Japanese longbow. I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. Well, last checked out the crossbow. Yeah, archery was pretty damn fun. What's this? For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot. Look, almost as if there was a fire here or something. Yes, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burnt embers too. Well, I suppose there was a big explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this, would have been. What? I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Bruno. Pent up. That's what we are. Oh, look, what's this? A ripped piece of cloth. Ah, it's not like any fabric I've seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Guinea's mid-yawn. A piece of green cloth has been entered in the court record. Scorch marks at its edges. Well, examining is getting us a lot of stuff. It looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Sholmes' methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really, really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Rubber. Or maybe not. That's using Sholmes' seductions, is it? Okay, we can look upwards ever higher within the crystal tower. That's where the cove ended up after his instant kinesis, or whatever they call it. Dead, of course. And yet they're calling the experiment a success. What's the wooden scaffold there for? The coppers, our lads, set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Dunno, really. So it was hanging, was it? Didn't you help to erect the scaffold, then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible, though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? Can't you go with the actual explosion theory a bit more? I've been meaning to ask you for a while now, but what are those funny round blobs floating in the sky? Oh, they're the flying balloons I've been talking about. I want to go up in one so much. I've read about situations like this in a magazine about strange phenomena. creatures from outer space coming in round flying objects to attack Earth! What? I suppose inhabitants of other planets are bound to be interested in the great exhibition. This is it, Iris, it's happening! It's not. Don't worry. I'll explain it all to you later over a nice cup of tea, Bruno. We have balloons. Bruno thinks they're aliens. Okay. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Oh, we actually had to check. Well, now we've moved on upwards. The Great Exhibition Grounds, experimentation stage. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up? Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Of course, Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. Ah, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Rudo. Really? Really? I don't want to be there. I'd have died, surely. I'm up there. It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate. Gregson. Oh, look, Inspector Gregson is over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully. Really? He just looks confused to me. Should we speak to Gregson first, then? We've done a lot of investigating. We have a lot more investigating to do. Ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently and mercilessly. So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air. Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point. Yes, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris? Oh, Bruno, I'm just a child. How should I know? A child when it suits you, you mean? From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this lever here... Stop! Don't touch that! That was practically instantaneous kinesis, the way you flew over just now, Gregsy. Please, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. So sorry, you can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. Ah, wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Harebrayne in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Ah, listen, sunshine, even if I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty. Oh, yes, that Special Dispensation... The professor mentioned that too. Can't we, like, acronym it? Shorten it? More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Surely that's all right, isn't it, Gregsy? Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your hands dirty, will you? Dainty indeed. Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno? She really knows how to get what she wants. Let's get some information from him first. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body and then beam him across to the Crystal Tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True. It was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being out of the game than the old spot of public safety infringements.
And they could be the first to develop some new technology. It makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see?
Yes, I suppose that's true. In a way.
So the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment.
What sort of rights?
They're making it so that any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it into a practical idea and even going into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. Because the new highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it.
Ah, I see now.
The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard.
The Forensic Investigation Team?
Any old fool can see this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. Just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, you can't do a flaming thing with it.
Poor Gregsy. He's very head up, isn't he? Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here?
Are you having me at it, sunshine? It's a Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act, yeah. It does become a mouthful.
Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently. With a real twinkle in his eye, as I remember.
Sure he did, your ladyship. I'm sure he did. Passed especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service, and if it gets rubber stamped, it's a guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality.
What does that really mean?
Think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that.
Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun.
It might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang science, that's what I say.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job.
You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers. Bogus contraptions.
But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point.
Yeah, well, there's a point, sadly.
Sorry?
Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant.
The scientists get funding.
Exactly, and that's what they're all after. All these shammers coming from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, eh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see what I'm saying now, can't you? Hang science! Hang it!
Oh, maybe I can see your point.
So he's not opposed to science, he just doesn't like all the charlatans.
Apparently, Professor Harebrayne lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research.
That's right, came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Ugh.
Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education. It turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Van Zieks.
What's that? That's new to me. But if Van Zieks mounts the prosecution and as the accused, the professor's fate is
sealed, because the Reaper will get him one way or another.
Blimey, that man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zieks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that?
Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about.
Right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, huh? How long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder?
The mystery of the Reaper. The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Asman, he was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard.
Lord Barrett von Zieks is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win.
Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it?
Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zieks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court. although the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zieks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'll stake my reputation on it, I would.
But if that's true, then how would you explain it? All those defendants couldn't just have coincidentally died if nobody killed them.
I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper.
Professor Harebrayne mentioned something else. He said that at university Lord Van Zieks was a totally different person, easygoing and kind.
You what?
He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was?
No clue.
Really?
I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh?
Okay, no clue? No new sentence? No new thing? Do you want me to go and examine? Well, I guess that is our next thing on the list to do. So with that said and done, and with an even upwards to check out too, we will start investigating this murder machine next time on the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Well, we hope to prove, of course, that it was an accident. However, it's never that simple, isn't it? See you next time for more. Bye-bye.